You are now listening to Talk Your Jits podcast.
Welcome back to the Talk Your Jits podcast. This podcast is, as the name implies, all about jiu-jitsu. I'm your host, Lamar Smith, and today's guest is a 4th degree black belt who runs Catharo Training Center located in Littleton, Colorado. Ladies and gentlemen, Steve Hordinski.
Hey, how's it going?
Good, brother. Good. How are you doing this morning?
Doing well, thank you, man. Good to get on the show with you and get to know you better, brother. So, like you said, yeah.
I definitely appreciate it, man. You know, it's always fun to sit down and be able to talk about jiu-jitsu.
Right? Like,
all right. Well, let's get the ball rolling, man. If you want to formally introduce yourself again, by all means, and let's hear your jiu-jitsu journey.
Okay, cool. Yeah, my name's Steve Hordinski, 4th degree black belt under Master Kaiki, owner of Catharo Training Center. Been training about 27 years now. So, been doing it a long time. When it wasn't cool, nobody knew what it was back then. So, yeah. But that's about it, man.
So how'd you get started, man? How did you get started in jiu-jitsu?
Oh, well, I've always loved martial arts. You know, I was doing martial arts mostly as a kid. I was really set on going into the military after the school and stuff like that. So I kind of already knew my path there. And then I just got stationed. Well, so far I went in the Navy, 1994, right? And then from there, I was stationed in San Diego, and the ship I was on all of a sudden was getting home ported to Hawaii. So I ended up going to Hawaii. And, I trained martial arts like Kempo Karate. I was a black belt in that. And I've been doing that for a while too. Of course, I always liked Bruce Lee and stuff like that. That was the kind of growing up, one of my, things, my idol, my mentor, or whatever, really inspired me for martial arts. And then when I got stationed in Hawaii, we were on deployment, and there were some Marines on board, and they had brought some mats with them. I was lifting weights, I was doing my Kempo Karate, still practicing all my stuff. And so one of my buddies, he told me, he said, hey, there's some guys down in the tank deck, which is where we carried all the Amtraks on that ship. And they were throwing down some mats, and they were doing some martial arts. So my buddy was like, hey, you should go down there. And I was like, cool, let me introduce you to the guy. So it was the guy he introduced me to was Phil Cardella. And he was a Marine at the time. And, I said, hey, I want to come down there and train with you guys. He's like, yeah, sure, come on down. And so I went down there, and I was kind of a bigger dude. And Phil was a smaller guy, about maybe 155, something like that. And I was like, man, I'm going to kick this dude's butt. And that wasn't the case. He kicked my butt pretty good. Right? Like, it didn't take a bunch of, you see the Gracie Challenge, the only ones where the guy tries again and again and again. It took one time, bro, because he didn't punch me, he didn't hit me, but he choked me the fuck out. And I was like, geez, man, there was no chance. I was like, this guy could have killed me. That's the first thing I thought in my head. I was like, if I wanted to, he could kill me with his hands, without punching me, without just choking me. I was like, I got to do this. And, I had seen that, but 1993, we had the UFC here, right? So I saw all in action Hoist, and Hoist was kicking everybody's ass. And I was like, I don't know, man, that looks pretty tough. So my Kempo Karate instructor, he would be like, nah, they got to get you to the ground first. I was like, do this. I'm like, I'm thinking to myself, I don't know, man, because there were a lot of karate dudes that he beat up,
Yeah.
So I was like, maybe there got to be something to it. but there's no jiu-jitsu back then. So I wrestled.
Right.
So I was like, I'll just get into wrestling. That'd be the best thing. So I remember when we spar, like I was already doing MMA because like I'd shoot in and take them down when we were sparring Kempo karate. Even before, I went and found that place or met Phil Cardella. So, like when I experienced it, all those ideas of like, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. I'm like, my wrestling helped me a little bit. My striking did absolutely nothing because I was on the ground. And I just got choked out, man. So we did that we're on deployment. So I'll be we do what's called port and starboard when we're on the ship because I was working the engine.
Okay.
And I was in engineering. So I'll be doing 6 hours on of just work, 6 hours off of rest. During my rest, I was training 2 hours. So I was getting 4 hours of sleep. I was training 2 hours and I was working 6 hours. And I did that for probably like 4 months. And then
sound about right.
Yeah, I mean, I was cleaning the gi in the engine room with like a bucket of like soap, and I was like scrubbing it, and I hang it up in the smokestack because the air was going through there to dry it, so I could be down there and do that. So I was hooked on it, man. Like I had a buddy of mine too, Jeremy. He trains with me now. We've known each other for a long time. We used to fight a lot, in high school and stuff. So we knew each other from like the local like scraps, and he ended up being on the ship with me, but he was a better wrestler than me. So he always get the best of me. As soon as I learned, like I had like 2 classes of jiu-jitsu, and I was like, hey, Jeremy, I go into his berth and I'm like, let's go, man. It's on. And I choked him out. He's like, what the hell is that? And I was like, man, it's jiu-jitsu, bro. So I got him to do a few classes, but I stuck with it. He quit. He went into, but here's the thing. He went into, we're both from Colorado. So he went into, after I went to dive school, he got attached with the spec war community as he's Master Chief right now. But he didn't do jiu-jitsu. Until like a few years ago, he come back to me. He said, hey, I'm ready to start again with my son. His son's a beast. He's a beast now. But yeah, he's a blue belt now, finally. But he could have started that. He could have started in 1997 when I did. So, but yeah, that's how I started jiu-jitsu. And then from there, like, I never looked back,
Yeah. I always find it fascinating when I hear practitioners that have been doing jiu-jitsu for so long, and especially when it comes to like how scarce and how sacred jiu-jitsu was back then. So it was like, man, I gotta find out what this sport is, because like you can't tell me that this dude in the pajamas just beat a world-class kickboxer and boxer and all this other stuff. And it's like, no, we gotta find this out. Find this out. And it's always small guy too. And it's always like when I find it, it only sticks when I like actually experience it.
Oh yeah.
Like I can see it and be like, all right, but once I get out there and like, okay, I got destroyed by this guy, like I'm twice his size.
It's like
helpless. Learn how to do this.
Yeah, it's helplessness. You're like, I can't do anything. This guy is killing me, bro. It's a little
It's like you kind of question your manhood and integrity, everything on that first ride home. Like it's a long ride home after that first class.
Well, all I did was I was like, there are people that know this in the world. I must know this.
I must know this. I must know this.
And I must be good at it too. So the cool part is like I was in Hawaii, and when we got back from the deployment, like immediately I'm like, all right, take me to the academy. And I started there with Chris and Mike Unzuka. They ran a program. There was a satellite program for Helson Gracie. And it was at a gymnastics place, man. So they had carpet, padding. So like you didn't roll on, you stayed on your toes and off your knees because that carpet would just tear you up. but we used to get
Yeah.
out there, and then shortly after that, I started. Once I did my first competition after, let's see, it was about 6-7 months of training. I went in there and I got it like that, man. Like I would look at moves, I would watch them, I would do them a couple times, but then it got to the point where I could like see the move and do it. Like I just like, because I had a martial arts experience. I've been doing martial arts, memorizing, techniques, memorizing forms, like a lot of stuff. But like it was easy for me to dissect what I saw, put it into action right away. So I just started competing on a regular. I was competing every tournament I could. I won a lot of them. And that first tournament, though, I remember I got in there. I broke my finger the first go, and I'm like, all right, fine, put it back in place, taped it. I mean, this finger's been destroyed. That was the one that got jacked. But
those are some jujitsu hands, man.
Oh, bro, hands, toes, neck is good, back is good, body is good. Have a few surgeries, but yeah, man. But that first competition, I got my first injury, and I was like, I kept going, and then I won the thing. Beat a guy that used to train with Helson, so Helson was happy. He goes to Chris and Mike. He's like, "Who do you have that can beat this guy?" Put Steve on him, right? So I beat the dude, and then I got my blue belt. Then I started, and then right then I started training at the Gracie Academy with Helson, which was intimidating when I first walked into that.
I bet,
especially being.
I was about to say, like, how was that,
bro? I was a white guy in Hawaii, and going to a jiu-jitsu school where everybody was a killer, and they were Hawaiian, and I didn't really fit in at first, so it was rough.
No pressure.
It was rough. Not to mention that I got linked up with a guy that trained there, so we carpool because I lived in Barbers Point, and it was all the way in downtown Hawaii, like Honolulu. So like that was a bit of a drive, and being a military guy, it's like we don't get paid a lot. So we were carpool. The guy I showed up with was dating one of the more experienced guys, Chemo, ex-girlfriend. So I got put in the category of we don't like this dude because he's with that dude who's with the other girls or with the guy's ex-girlfriend. So
guilty by association.
Bro, it was rough, man. But I was like, man, it's okay. I'm gonna keep getting my ass kicked until I kick everybody's ass. So I just kept getting beat. I got beat on and beat on and beat on, and I don't know. I mean, I'm like what 21. So it's like I take this. I'm durable. So I just kept showing up, kept taking my lickings. Once I start competing more and more and start winning, then we all became friends, And then like. I was one of the guys, a lot of people in the military would be there in Hawaii and be like, oh, I hate it here. But I'm like, man, you're in paradise. I miss everybody. I don't have any friends. It's like, jiu-jitsu? It was hard to get people to do jiu-jitsu, but I was like, hey, man, I love Hawaii because I found my people, man. I found
my home.
Yeah, man. I was on that mat. I trained in the morning. I trained at lunch and I trained in the evening so I'll put in probably like 5-6 hours a day training. So
wow, man,
it was fun.
I love it.
Fun. Yeah, it was fun, man. Did a lot of competition, made a lot of good friends. I still talk to almost every single one of them. We don't see each other, but like somebody I've seen in like 15 years, and we get on the phone together. It's like we're still connected, and that's what was interesting to me. Like that bond of just kicking each other's ass is such a strong bond that it's timeless, and I just
very much
never experienced that, in any other thing I did. I mean, I'm gonna put this on do not disturb because I get these damn messages coming through.
That's not good, man.
Yeah,
it's a crazy thing about jiu-jitsu, man. I know I sound like a broken record because I've said this over a million times, but one thing that stuck out to me so much pertaining not to just training in general, man, but just the community in the whole. Like
Beautiful, right?
you can meet some very, you know, fucked up people, excuse my French, or, you know, just some people who
Oh
just
yeah,
are just very, very, you know, just not there. But 9 times out of 10, you meet someone that does jujitsu in a matter of 2 seconds, you guys are like best friends.
yeah,
You
right.
know,
You're part of the club.
never trained together, right? Like
Right?
never trained together, but
Yeah.
I'm sorry, go
You
ahead.
got the
Go ahead.
you got the handshake. You got the hey, what's up, bro?
All right. Well,
You got the, hey, hug. Hey, you're one of my people. So
right. We're family now. We're family now. But yeah,
yeah,
it's just no matter what, man. It's like the community will like definitely come together and support everybody. And no matter what it is, like as soon as they find out, like, oh, you do jujitsu too? All right, man. You know, you got my support. Or, you know, just like with the podcast, I'm like, you know, trying to reach out to people and a quick little, like, anybody want to be on a jiu-jitsu podcast? And just like, yeah, talk about jiu-jitsu,
of
blah,
course.
blah, blah. So it's like, it's something to this. It's something to this.
Hey man, it's jiu-jitsu is a superpower. I mean,
It
like
is. It very is.
it makes you smarter. Some would say better looking because you get in shape, right? And I don't know, man. It's just social skills, you know, like confidence, all of that.
Mm-hmm.
Like to me, it's like the martial art. It's the most purest martial art because of how it shapes you physically, mentally, and if you're getting into that rolling and you're training all the time, it's shaping you spiritually too. So it just hits you on all levels, you know, and
Yeah.
it's transformative. Like it's the best self. Like you know, a lot of people get in these programs to better themselves, right? Like motivational stuff, self help. I mean, jujitsu is the best one. Like I can't think
Yeah.
of another thing in this world, like course that I've done or things that I've seen people accomplish through jiu-jitsu in their life that has this many results, right? Like it'll take someone who's unhealthy and they'll start eating right, training right. Someone who drinks and smokes, they'll quit. Someone who maybe is angry, pissed off, they're nice. They become like someone who's good in the community. It'll take a
Yeah.
criminal, it'll shape them up. It'll put a cop with a criminal, and they'll become friends. Like
Yeah.
not all barriers, racial, social, you know, hopefully political. Like let's not talk it, you know, but like let's just do jujitsu. Let's do this jujitsu thing, you know. And if people get
Yeah. Yeah.
like friendships are forged, lives are changed, lives are saved. You know.
Saved. Yeah. Yeah. And I couldn't agree more, man. And I really glad that you said that, because being someone who has multiple degrees in other martial arts, and to be able to confidently say, like, yeah, jujitsu is like the one, you know, not to discredit any other type of martial art, but this is the one that really puts you in a position where it's like, okay, I really have to do more stuff outside myself to get better at this sport. Because like you said, like, you know, if you train, you're training hard, you're like, okay, I got what I got to do to get better at this. It's not just necessarily like, you know, practicing technique after technique after technique. It's thinking about, okay, I need to get better. You know, I need to get healthier. I need to, you know, okay, so in order to get healthier, I need to cut out this, and this. And you're more inclined to do so because you want to get better at this. It's like, all right, I got to stop, like you said, I got to stop smoking. I got to stop drinking. I got to start eating better if I want to get better at this. And it's like, all right, well, I'm going to do that. And then before I can do this. And then next thing you know, 6 months later, you're in the best shape of your life, and everything just around you just changes, like, before you even realize it.
Yeah, it'll get you through tough times, you know.
Very, very much.
Put you in the moment. I feel like training, like when you're training and you're out there, it's just a form of meditation too, because you know I always like when people say your black belt's always 3 or 4 steps ahead of you, right? I don't know if that's true because I'm not really thinking about anything. It's just my movements are precise because of my body remembers. I ain't thinking about anything. I'm just
not a thing.
Man, I'm checking out, and I'm just like, all right. Here's the rules. Here's the objective. right? This is what I'm working on. I set those intentions before I start training, and I just get to work, you know. So, but I'm meditating when I'm rolling. So
Yeah, there's been so many times where it's like, I'll think of like, we're about to roll after class or before class starts. And if we're going on the clock, I'm like, okay, I got, it's as weird as this may sound, but I'm like, okay, I'm about to roll. I got 5 minutes to myself.
yeah.
I got 5 minutes to myself.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And I just, just let the mind just blank out and just, just my body just go on autopilot and I just roll. And man, it's just so, like you said, it's just so therapeutic, man. It's so therapeutic.
Oh yeah. And like so I run the school, I coach a lot, coach a lot of fighters, on all stages, from the local to PFL, UFC, have some guys that are in Bellator I work with. And
nice
coaching, like what's interesting about that, you can still be in that same frame of mind, but you get someone like let's say you get a brand new guy come in. That guy's there for a reason. They're angry, they issues, and all of a sudden they get to unleash on you. Even though you're meditative, they're trying to kill you, but you're reworking their energy. You're taking all that aggression, and you're like, move here, and they're just like on their back, and they're getting their fight that they wanted. They're getting their struggle. They're getting that I gotta get this out, and you're just reworking their energy, and then you start to they become a student or whatever, and then you start to talk to them about being calm, breathing, being mindful, and it's like it's crazy that we could still be in that frame of mind just rolling for ourselves, but then when you roll with another person, because of that engagement, they're working out their stuff. You can't be on that journey like you've worked out your stuff. I don't know how long you've been training. How long have you been training?
7 years.
That's awesome, man. So in those 7 years, you probably figured out like it's not bad. You're like, I'm checking out. Right? I'm just rolling.
Yeah.
Right. And it's like, but then you get that new guy in, and they want to test themselves. They want to prove something, or they want to work something out. And you're just like, cool. You know what? Let's go.
Right.
And I like the result. The result at the end is people are smiling. They learn something. They're sweating. They're feeling good afterward. Their endorphins are kicking, and like, I'm coming back.
Yeah.
Yeah. At least the ones with the ego, maybe they don't come back.
Right.
But the ones that accepted it and surrendered to it, like, this shit is good. Nowadays, there's a lot of podcasts. There's a lot of information out there, and there's a lot of science too that shows it is. But but the ego though, the ego prevent you from doing good stuff for yourself. So.
Oh yeah. And that's I always talk about that too, where you get people that's been doing training for for as long as you have, and just seeing that transition of not being able to find jiu-jitsu anywhere in your state to going to, I can just click a button and I can just find 50 million jiu-jitsu videos. Like a million and one techniques in a blink of an eye.
Yeah, so that is really cool. And you know what? I mean, I'm guilty. I use it too because like I'm always I'm old school, but I'm current. Like I study the legs. Like right now, the summertime we're only no gi, and we do a 3-month program where it's like I'm just teaching all the leg stuff, like everything I know. Like I just dump it to them. I put it into like it's pretty safe the way I do it. I do first month is about entering into the leg lock situation, controlling the knee line, and then that's all we work on. We play games around that so that they can be safe and try things without someone grabbing the heel, hit them with a foot lock, hit them with a knee bar, no submissions, right? Just control. And then I teach them how to like slip the knee line, how to escape, and then I teach them how to recover the knee line, right? So we get a 2-part thing. And then the last month is how to finish and transition. And so doing it that way, I was really reluctant to do this program, but as you see the competition scene, you see what's being done in ADCC, all the competitions. Even the IBJF is now bent towards the rules, like we have to change too. And so I was like, man, if I don't teach my students this, they're going to get hurt if they go to other mats where they're not familiar with this.
Mm-hmm.
So I got really into that. But yeah, I'm old school smash fighting type of jiu-jitsu, because Helston was very much Helston Gracie. He was very much about making sure your jiu-jitsu is applicable in a fight first and foremost.
Yeah. First and foremost, yep.
Don't get punched in the face. Have a guard where you're protecting get punches. Keep your head down when you're passing. It's interesting how the jiu-jitsu has changed, and how even with all that information, people are kind of far off of that path, which is the only thing that if I was going to change something, I would like for to see more technique on these insta is right. Insta is cool, right? You got this flashy spinny move, right? But it has no application in a fight. And so with that information, which is great, and it gives me good ideas, and I study it, I always look at the four main principles of my jiu-jitsu, which is, of course, leverage over strength, right? Natural body movements over being super flexible. I think that one is super key when you get older. Like I'm 48 and still being on the mat active, the appreciation I have for that principle of natural body movements, the reason why that's important is because of injuries. It's a move. As you get older, you're not putting yourself in a position where you're going to pop things, hurt things. So natural body movements is for that timeless jiu-jitsu. And then, of course, slowing things down, timing over speed. And then the most important one that people will neglect is street effectiveness. So if I see it, if I have a move set that fits those first three, all right, it's sport. But if I have a move set and I try to focus most of my training around techniques that will apply for my fighters, will apply for the street effectiveness. So I look at that pretty heavily.
Yeah. You have to, man, because it's not get any safer out there, and at the same time, it is a martial art, and you have to understand that a fight is not always going to go the way that you want it to go. So being able to protect yourself, even doing a grappling martial art, is still effective.
100%.
Because everybody always say all the fight starts on the feet. Yeah, but 90% of those fights will end up on the ground.
For sure.
100%. Yeah, I get. You're correct. 100% of the fights do start standing, but 90% of them end up on the ground, some way or form.
And if you're trained, and you didn't neglect your wrestling or some kind of takedown, for sure you're gonna get it to the ground, unless they clip you with a lucky shot. But
right.
I've been hit pretty hard and didn't go down. So, but you're absolutely right there. We train a martial art. That's the first and foremost. We're a martial artist first. And that's another thing too, is I see because of how mainstream jiu-jitsu has become, it's more of there's some schools that I feel like they forget that they're martial art first, and it's more of a jiu-jitsu social club, which is cool.
Yeah.
But to me, that's just a benefit of being at a good school with a good community, is that you're going to have that. But the first most remember yourself as a martial artist. And for me, it's I can make someone tough in jiu-jitsu and I can make them good, but can you guide them to become a good human being, a good father, a good community man? I love working with my first responders, because they're out there in the community, and if they know jiu-jitsu, they're a better servant in the community because they don't have to resort to or doing damage on people or use their tools because they already have tools that are effective, and that's going to mean a lot more. Just like my experience, your experience probably the same. Is you showed up at the jiu-jitsu school and you got handled.
Yeah, exactly.
But you didn't get hurt.
Right. I walked in underestimating the person who I was rolling with and got humbled.
Yeah, exactly, man.
But yeah, so it's crazy how I recently saw a video of it was at a jiu-jitsu school, and I don't know if it was like a testing or whatever, but the guy had to defend against someone striking. Now in the Gracie lineage, which ours kind of stemmed from, because our grandmaster Francisco Mansour, he was trained by Carlos and Helio.
Hold on, you're under the Francisco Mansour lineage?
Yeah, I'm under Joe Moera. Yeah, we're under Joe Moera.
Oh man, hold on, son. I grabbed some.
Uh-oh.
Let me see if I got it. It's in the other room. It's not. Oh no, it's right here, bro. My homie that I was in Navy dive school with, he trained under him in New York. He's a cop, or he's a retired cop. He got me this book right here, right?
Hey, that's my man's right there.
Signed by the man, dude. This guy, man, he's an incredible man. I love him.
Oh yeah,
he's old now though. Is he still around?
Yeah. So okay. So real quick side note, sidebar. So back in May, our master Joe Moera, he just got his red belt. So he was Grandmaster Mansour was there, and what was so crazy about leading up to that, because he's getting older now, and one of the things they were saying, like, this is kind of like his last little seminar in the States. After this, he's going to Brazil to retire and everything else, right? And to this day, man, he's like no different. He's still a big kid. He still wants to get down there on the mats. He's still out here training and teaching, man. He's such a phenomenal person. And I got a chance to talk to his son, Kraus, who was also at this seminar, and I showed him this picture of. I'm gonna flash it up so when the episode air, you will be able to see it. But
cool. I
showed him a picture. I was like, "Yeah, man, this is the first time I met your father. I was still I think like a 2-stripe white belt. First time meeting Grandmaster Mansour." And he's like, "Oh, you should go show him this picture." So I go and I talk to him and his goddaughter. And it was like, she was translating for me. I was like, I don't know if you remember this, but, this is when I met you back in, I think it was like 2017, 2018. And he was like, "Oh, what belt are you now?" And I was like, "Oh, I just got my black belt." Oh, yeah. And to see his face light up.
Yeah, right.
He was like, "Oh, my," he was just like so excited. And to me, that was like, I keep talking about that moment. Like, man, it was so exciting that he like remembered that day, and then remember the fact that, I've been training, I've been staying with this. So it was very, very cool to see him one last time before he goes to Brazil to retire. But anywho, so the guy was, he had on boxing gloves. He was, just teeing off on his student. Oh, yeah. And he just curled up. He just curled up into a ball. And, if you part of that Gracie lineage, you know that your jiu-jitsu is pressure tested.
Yes.
And that was a big part of our curriculum, where we have to learn self-defense because it is a martial art. So there's part of our curriculum where we going against someone who's striking and we only have jiu-jitsu. Because one of our philosophies is, if you can't do it in the gym, you can't do this in the street. You train how you fight. So if you're gonna, if someone punches you in here, and we got on boxing gloves or MMA gloves, and someone's punching you in here, they're curling, and you're curling up. Oh, just imagine what that person's outside this gym is going to do to you.
Yeah, yeah.
So
I
Like
agree.
if you can't defend yourself, man, you're not doing something. You're not doing something right.
Yeah, I mean, it's cool to do all that fun stuff, but down to the heart of it, man, it's like you better know the self defense. That's another thing. A lot of people don't do the self defense anymore. All my black belts, they get tested on the self
Yeah.
defense. I take a handful of guys every year, and I spend like the whole summer. I spend the like 4 or 5 months just seeing them every Sunday, working with them, polishing it up, showing them why I do the things that I do, show them
Mm-hmm.
just because I mean, like, I wouldn't say that I'm like doing like I know the original like self defense the way that I was tested with Helson, and but over the years of just putting it into application against my law enforcement officers and military, and just kind of stress testing it by adding a little bit of resistance, a little bit of realism, I started noticing that like some of these techniques don't quite work that well. There might be a better.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I have made my own adaptations for my black belts. Um, Especially like when you're dealing with the guns and the weapon retention stuff and disarming, which is always going to be sketchy. No matter what you do, it's like, even if it's good, someone's going to look at it and say, well, you could probably die doing it, because that guy might have a different skill set or seen something different with like knives or with guns or whatever. But, I always keep that fluid, and it always adapt. It always changes every year when I work with people, because my knowledge changes, my experience changes, my understanding it improves. But for the most part, we stayed pretty to the core of that self defense program. With if not, we've taken some things out. We're just like, oh, we can use this technique, this and this. It covers like 3 attacks. We just do this, right? But I
Mm-hmm.
think it's important that people should do the self defense. One, it gets, it has a good stand up portion. Like most of our jujitsu's on the ground. I think you should learn a little bit of judo, right? If not, I learned a handful of, judo. I learned a little bit. I'm not stupid with judo. I can throw someone. I can do the foot sweeps, things like that. But I like to wrestle. So for me, let me get a single leg on you, get to your body and take you down, or let me do a double, just simple stuff. But I think you need all that, and a little bit of striking, man. Know how to throw a punch. Don't be like stupid with punches so you don't break your hand. And I think
Mm-hmm.
all what I like about our system, especially like you coming from that lineage, is I was taught. Like we learned all that. And if you want
Mm-hmm.
more proficient at it, you went to do a little boxing. You maybe did a little, Thai boxing. I gotta get better with my takedowns. I'm gonna do some judo. I'm gonna do some wrestling. Fortunately for me, there were a lot of high level wrestlers that were coming through at the Helston School back in the day. I mean, because we
Mm-hmm.
have the internet, so it's either you had videos like the VHS videos, like bootleg videos, someone sent to you. You had books, magazines, but what we had is we had world champions coming through because they won't come to Hawaii. The Brazilians, right? They would come to Hawaii. They would teach a seminar. They want to see Helston, and so we were getting from the horse's mouth. We were getting
Right.
Mario Sperry. We had Salo, Sanji. We had Daniel Marias. We had some of Helston's nephews and cousins, and you know everybody was coming through, man.
Yeah.
It was fun. It was fun. And then
Yeah.
and then they were rolling too. It was like the old school seminars, like some seminars, and I'm guilty of this too because I've just been training a long time. I travel a lot, so I'm not trying to battle with everybody after a seminar. But back
Right.
in the day, those guys would battle everybody. They was, like sometimes they just line up everybody like who wants to roll big circle, right? When Mario Sperry came to do a seminar, right? It was a big seminar. And like Mario Sperry, when I was on deployment, I was in Australia and I picked up one of like number 2 or number 1. It was like one of the first grappling magazines. Color, for the cover, black and white.
Black and white, yeah.
For the pages. And in there was Egan, Grappling Unlimited. He was in there doing something, a little advertisement. And I used to be one of Helson's guys, so I knew who he was. And then I look in there and I see Zen Mario. And he's showing some technique. I'm like, I think I can make that work. So I'm like in there, like just looking at it in the magazine. I'm like, I'm working with my buddies in the tank deck and we're grappling. I'm like, okay, cool. It was crazy that like I was a purple belt. Finally, I got to see the guy because I was like, man, Mario Sperry. I was just all about him at the beginning there. And then he comes in, I get to do a seminar with him. After the seminar, he just says, "Who wants to roll?" And he just like grabbing people. He's like, 1, 2. I'm like, I hope I get to grab. I hope I get to go. Hope I get to go. And I was seeing who he's grabbing. I was like, he needs to pick me first. You know. We got the train, and I mean, you know, it was awesome. Like I felt like I did really good. You know, he was also probably tired. I wasn't. I was like young, 20, maybe 24 or something like that. And I got to roll with like someone that like had like didn't even know, but had an impact in my jiu-jitsu, right? So it was pretty. Guys come through. We had Henzo come through a couple times. You know, it's just I was lucky. I was lucky that I got stationed in Hawaii and found Phil Cardella, and I found the Gracie Academy, and I found Helson. You know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that
you're placed there for a reason.
Yeah, you know, I think so too. And I look back at it, and I'm like, I'm so proud of my lineage. I'm so thankful for how I came up. You know, Helson would run these big tournaments in Ohio. You know, the Arnolds, called the Gracie Worlds, and like we had like guys like you know, Paige Pano in there, and you know, Jeff Monson was in there. They had a big go, a big old ruckus in there. You know, and then Marcelo Garcia, you know, when he was just starting to show up, he was competing in that, both solo and Sanji. Lovato, he was doing it. Everybody was doing that because it was like the biggest tournament at the time in the U.S., right? And it was in Columbus, Ohio, Buckeyes, at that school, at the college. But yeah. So I because of the military, I would travel too. I would go to San Diego. I would train there. That's how I met Fabio Santos. And I think when I went there, perhaps I think Jake Shields was there, and I think Dean Lister. Trained with those guys that day. There, got my ass kicked by one of the Brazilian guys, a brown belt. But I made friends with Fabio, and him and I have been friends for a very long time as well. But after being out there, you know, like I just, you know, I knew I needed to stay in Hawaii. So I spent 10 years in Hawaii. Had to do some job change so that I could be stationed out there. So I didn't get sent to like, you know, somewhere where I would not be able to train with Helson. So back in 1999, when I was up for orders, I decided to go to dive school in Panama City, Florida, so I could get back stationed back in Hawaii so I can continue training. So that's what I did.
See, that's what I mean about, you know, you will alter so much stuff to get better at jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, man, I went to dive school, so like everybody there was a diver because that's what their dream was. I was like, I need to get through this fucking Navy dive thing so I can go back to Hawaii and continue training jiu-jitsu. And it was hard school, and I was like, man, it challenged me. Like I sucked in school, man. When I was in high school, I messed around too much. I mean, I got through it, you know, but I did never apply myself, right? So then I go in 99, I'm like, and then as soon as I get there, the commanding officer, he was a rugby player, but he also did jiu-jitsu, and he knew about jiu-jitsu.
Oh, man.
I became friends. We're still friends. Commander Barkis, man. We were still buddies, you know, we're connected on Facebook. And he told me, he said, if you graduate first in your class, I'll make sure you get orders back to Hawaii. So I linked up with one of the instructors, Terry Pace. I got him into jiu-jitsu. I was getting everybody into jiu-jitsu in Florida. And it was fun, man. But I didn't graduate first in my class. I graduated second in my class. I barely missed it. But then, the Commander Barkas, he said, "You're good, man. I already got your orders back. You're going to Mutsu 1." I was like, sweet. So I get there, and I don't know, man. Life was way better because I could train way more. I mean, I started TV Jiu-Jitsu team. I was the only person on it. And that was because like getting leave to go and travel for these competitions, I'd burn it up in one competition. So I was like, how do I solve this problem? So because of jiu-jitsu, I started the all-Navy jiu-jitsu team so I could always get orders to go compete. And so I did that. My command hated it. But, they respected it. They were representing and I was winning. So it was like I was winning. So like it was cool, And, it was one of those things where like I appreciated it and I hated doing it because I know they needed me for the jobs. But I was like, what did I do this for? I didn't do this for Navy.
Yeah.
I did it for my jiu-jitsu. I got selected for a special program, like hush hush crap, like with I think they called it air projects. I got this interview and they're like telling me, all this stuff you're gonna do, and they're not really telling you because they can't tell you, but they're saying you'll be doing a huge service to your country. And I'm like thinking to myself, this is kind of what I joined the Navy for. There's something like this, some opportunity like this. But jiu-jitsu fucking changed that, man. Like I didn't care anymore about like operations, nothing like that. I was like, hey, I'm a diver. That's enough, man, because that's special enough for me. So I turned down a lot of that stuff and just continued the path of jiu-jitsu. I got out of the Navy in 2005. I'd worked some odds and end jobs. I hated it. I did a sales job. I wore a suit and tie. I was like, it was miserable. And then I met a fighter, local guy, Justin Salas. And that dude, he noticed that I had some cauliflower ear, and he's like, "Hey, you wrestle?" I was like, "No, I'm a jiu-jitsu guy." And he was a fighter, so I became his coach. And then I quit my job, started teaching jiu-jitsu, not making any money, bro.
Not a dime, man.
Somehow getting by. And then, I remember when my grandfather passed in 2009. I remember like, hey, everything kind of like, I was teaching out of LA boxing, and I put a jiu-jitsu program there. And I was like, I looked at my dad and said, "Dad, I'm ready to open the school." Because I got my dad into jiu-jitsu, right? He started. My dad's a 3rd degree black belt. I'm a 4th. He's one of my first black. He is my first black belt I promoted, by the way.
Nice. That's awesome.
Yeah, my dad and I have been running school ever since. But my dad said, "Hey, let's do it." And so we opened up our academy. It was Helson Gracie, Colorado. It was in a basement. It was a dungeon. Had no light, just the fluorescent lights. But man, that was a hard training room. We battled in there, and then now I'm in a nice facility. Been there for been in business now 15 years almost.
Nice, man.
Jiu-jitsu lifestyle.
Because it's jiu-jitsu's fault.
Yeah. I'm a better person, man. Maybe be responsible. Maybe learn about business. Maybe learn about leadership. Maybe work on like being better at with people. Because I would say that I am not I'm one of those introverts, man. I'm good being by myself, but it's hard to be. Like you got to work on your communication skills if you're like that, because people, when you're silent, they put their ideas there, and they're like, "This dude don't like me."
Yeah.
But yeah. So
as a fellow introvert myself, man, I'm like, I do not like really interacting with people as much as I've been working retail for like God knows how long before I was like, you know what, this is not me anymore. But into doing this podcast where I have to talk to people, and it's like it's all because of jiu-jitsu. It's jiu-jitsu's fault.
Yeah, it makes you grow, right?
Right. Definitely makes you grow.
Yeah, definitely. And it's something you could do forever. I mean, like, look, I do all kinds of stuff to stay ready for jiu-jitsu. I have a strength coach. I still do that. I have good, eat well. I do my stretching. I started incorporating movement based, and you might want to check it out. Budokan. Have you heard of that? It's like jujitsu movements, but like yoga too. So it's like a good strength building, recovery, restoring. It makes your jujitsu better. I've been doing that for a little while, ever since I got linked up with like the Six Blades crew out here in Colorado, and they do a lot of that. With Sanji and Cameron is the guy. So I'm doing a lot of that recovery work. I even do hot yoga. I don't like it, honestly, but I do it because it gets you to red line on your if you use one of those trackers, right?
Yeah.
It'll get you a red line. It'll make you miserable. It'll get you suffering, and man, you just pour sweat in that thing. So I do that once a week, but it's all because
that sounds fun.
It's all because of jiu-jitsu that I'm put myself through this for like 27 years now.
You know what? I'm gonna have to get that on a shirt, man. I'm gonna have to just put that on a shirt. It's jiu-jitsu's fault.
I'll buy that shirt. Yeah, get that shirt.
I got you.
Good one.
It's jiu-jitsu's fault.
Yeah,
man. I got you. I'm gonna work on that. I'm gonna work on that. It's jiu-jitsu's fault.
Definitely. And I'm gonna get one of those. I'm gonna snap a picture, tag you, and stay connected. So, what part where you live right now? Where you at?
I'm in Detroit, Michigan.
Ah, man, you know what? I've never been to Michigan. Maybe one day I got to come out there and see you.
Come on, man. I'm always welcome.
Hey, you ever come to Colorado?
Never been.
Hey, see, now you got a reason to come to Colorado too.
I was just about to say, like, now I got a reason to come to Colorado because of jiu-jitsu.
Heck yeah, man. Yeah, definitely we'll stay connected, brother. I appreciate that. I always like talking about jiu-jitsu, man. That's one thing I love.
Yeah, man. Love it, man. Yes. Well, Steve, man, we come up to the point of the show, man. I like to ask everybody that comes on. I mean, you've been doing this for quite a long time, so I know there's been some people that you have got a chance to roll and train with, but your top 3 people, no particular order, that you would love to get a chance to roll with.
Oh, geez. Man, I like Gordon Ryan. I like to get him, just to experience that. I guess the best guy is Craig Jones. I'm a fan.
Yeah.
And, definitely, who's the guy? Eddie Cummings, man. His leg lock stuff is sick.
Nasty.
Yeah, I'm more current on those guys, but like all time, man, I love to roll with Hickson. I love to roll.
Oh yeah,
just technical roll. There's too many, bro. There's too many. Like anybody, I want to roll with everybody, man. Like anybody who's like, come on, because I'm gonna learn something from you. You're gonna learn something from me.
Mm-hmm.
Like anybody.
Right.
But yeah, definitely, Gordon would be a one that because I love his technique. I think Craig Jones is I like his innovation with the way he is with the leg locks, but with his octopus guard. And I like that he works with MMA fighters because I see a lot of the stuff that he does there correlates very well into fighting, which I appreciate a lot. And, Eddie Cummings, he's just a G, man. I'm glad he's starting to show up again. I've always liked his leg lock stuff. I've had a chance to train with a lot of good guys, but those would be the guys I'd want to, hang out with. Maybe in how do you say his name? Lechland Giles. How do you say his name? Giles, the Australian guy, leg lock guy, little guy. Lachlan.
I
would mess up.
I'm not sure.
If I say it to you, you'd be like, yeah, you're right. I'm probably brutalizing his name, but definitely the Mendez brothers, man. But they roll with, right? They're pretty neat. Yeah, so I guess I didn't follow instructions well. I gave you like 10 of them.
It happens, man, because it's like, how do you narrow it down to 3?
Marcelo Garcia, I never got a chance to roll with him. I would love to roll with him.
Man,
Love to roll.
so many names, so many names.
Let me take that back. Marcelo Garcia. I would love to hang out with him for like an hour. That'd be great. So,
man, wouldn't it?
Yeah, man. I'm glad that he's doing well, man. You know, him popping up. I'm glad he's doing well. I'm glad he beat that cancer thing. So,
yeah. Shout out to him, man, because
yes, he's a G.
That's a scary thing. That's a scary thing.
And he inspired a lot of people. You know, he inspired a lot of people with his personality, his jiu-jitsu, and just seems like he's a good dude, man.
Yeah.
I appreciate you.
All right.
It's nice to meet you.
Likewise, my friend. I was just about to say, man, unless you got anything else you want to add, fire away. If not, let the people know where they can find you, what you got going on. Shout out to school, man. The floor is all yours.
Yeah. If you think about, starting jiu-jitsu, do it. If you think about quitting, don't. Stick with it. You'll thank me later. And if you want to connect with me, Instagram, Hordinski _jiu-jitsu. Pretty easy to find. If you're in Colorado, Denver area, come see me. Catharo Training Center. We're in Littleton. Love to have you on the mats. And just reach out if anybody has any questions, jiu-jitsu questions. I get a lot of that in my social media, so I'm happy to help people with their game, with anything. So that's about it.
Man, yeah, man. Like I said, I appreciate you, man. I keep saying this. I really would love to start, getting to a place where I can travel and visit a lot of you guys that I've met through this podcast. So I got to do something, man, because this list is not going to get any smaller.
Get a plane ticket. Got a place to stay. We'll have fun. We'll get some training in. Show you around. So you got a place to stay here, brother, if you come out. So,
man, I appreciate you, Steve, man.
When you come out.
When I come out there. Yeah, that's how we're going to put it. When I come out there, we're going to get it. We're going to get it cracking, man.
All right, brother. Have a good one, man.
All right, man. Well, man, that's the end of today's episode. I would like to thank Steve one more time for coming on the show and blessing us with his jiu-jitsu knowledge. Hope you guys enjoyed. Please go and follow our Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube pages to stay up to date on all future episodes. This has been Talk Your Jits podcast. Keep rolling, keep grinding, and remember, long live jiu-jitsu. Have a nice day.
Decent, bro. Come on, man.